Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you're ready to take on your next paying clients, I have good news. My free 4 Basics of Client Attraction and How to Stand Out class is live at haileyrowe.com/client-attraction. In the class, you're going to learn the top 2 traits I recommend for most coaches and entrepreneurs if they really want to turn this into a career. You're going to learn how you can build demand for your services and stop getting crickets on your posts. You're going to learn the sales roadmap I used to improve my sales conversion rate and help my clients do the same. And you're going to learn so much more. So go to haileyrowe.com/client-attraction and get your copy of the class today. And I'm really grateful that we have crossed paths. She's an online entrepreneur as well. She's a Pinterest coach. She knows all the things you need to know about driving more traffic to your website, your email list with Pinterest. So Nadalie, thank you for being here. And why don't you share just a little bit about you and how you got into Pinterest in the first place?
For sure. So like many of you, I started this online journey not knowing much. And maybe after you launched, whether it's your health coach business, a blog, you realize that, hey, my number one problem is actually traffic. So like many of you, the solution that I found was actually Pinterest. So I had tried so many platforms. Everyone has advice on how to grow your traffic, how to get your business out there. And for me, the only one that made a difference, a sizable difference, was Pinterest. So I really and truly just committed myself to understanding the platform. And then a couple years later, friends were like, you need to make a course. And I was like, okay, I'll make a course. And yeah, it's pretty much just been Pinterest fully out since like 2019 has been my primary focus. And I'm all about making it understandable and manageable for creators and coaches like you so that you can get more traffic, because I firmly believe that if we are so consumed with just trying to get leads, just trying to get our name out there and worrying that nobody's clicking, nobody's on our email list, nobody's booking calls, nobody's buying from us, we can't actually get to the big moves we need to make, whether it's launching a product, writing a book, maybe even starting a podcast, for example. If you're so consumed with this primary issue of not having traffic, how can you get to the good stuff? So to me, Pinterest is the number one way to solve that traffic issue.
Gotcha. Okay. So when you say getting more traffic through Pinterest, tell me a little more about what that means, what that looks like, what is traffic? How do you define that? Yeah.
For sure. So if any of you are familiar with the platform, if not, download the app. You definitely want to check it out. So Pinterest essentially functionally is a visual search engine. You share pins, which are either an image or a video that has a link. So that link can go to your blog post, to your podcast episodes, your YouTube videos, to your offers, your sales pages, your products. You can even use affiliate links. So it's just a way to get what you're creating out there, and people click and go directly there. So none of the comment to get the link, none of the click the link in bio. Pinterest users know how to click. They know what the conversions we want are. So when we're talking about traffic, I'm talking about visits to your website in, sizable amounts that can move the needle. And what makes Pinterest special compared to other platforms you might be considering or investing way too much time in right now and not seeing results is that it is a search engine. And that just simply means that if you create a pin that's linking to your content or your creations and you optimize it for SEO, we're just talking keywords here, so you will continue to get found in search results. And unlike on social media, for example, where your post just has a couple minutes, couple hours, if you're lucky, a couple days of a lifespan, Pinterest pin can live for years and continue to get found and continue to drive traffic. So yeah, that's That's what I mean. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen like pictures or visuals of like how long the shelf life is on
Mhm.
certain posts on different social media platforms. And Pinterest definitely has a longer shelf life, meaning your post doesn't just disappear and be forgotten by the world. It can actually thrive the longer it's been sitting there. So it's better bang for our time. So tell me a little bit about if someone's like, okay, well, I want to get started on Pinterest. What are you seeing these days that's working and that they should be considering if they're wanting to get started?
For sure. Okay, so step one to getting started, you're going to head on over to Pinterest. You're going to sign up for a business account. It's completely free. If you've been using a personal account, maybe it's been your like pseudo business account, go ahead, convert that over into a business account. We definitely want to be doing things correctly, but that also is going to unlock some tools that are going to be helpful to you. Tools like Pinterest Trends, which will enable you to search for what popular keywords are that you can use to inform your content creation, but also to share with your existing content, right? You can also get access to things like Pinterest Analytics, which we definitely want to be able to track to see how well things are going. So once you have that account, the next step I always encourage is to design some templates, right? So a pin is typically an image. So I'm just going to pull up the app here so we can have some examples that you can see. But you can essentially see on my phone here, these are all pins, right? So just like with anything we're doing, the best use of your time is going to be to have a couple of templates that you can recycle and reuse for all of your links. So I encourage you to go design, or you can even purchase some pin templates that are going to work for your business and use a tool like Canva. Even with a free account, you can design as many pins as you want. And you're definitely going to want to schedule those out. So in terms of like what's working, number one, it's always going to be consistency, right? I see so many people get really excited about Pinterest and, maybe overdo it, because there are some experts out there who are telling you that, oh, you need to post 20, 30 times a day. You don't need to do that, right? All that's going to do is burn you out, right? And I am not in the game of helping anyone to burn out faster. I'm in the game of getting you consistent results, right? Because consistency is what's going to win at the end of the day. So just choosing what you can commit to consistently, whether that's, hey, okay, I can do one new pin a day. Great. Start there. Be consistent in that. Show up every day. And the great thing is that you don't have to pin in real time. It's not like platforms like Instagram where it's like, oh, you have to post the reel in real time and you got to do this. You don't have to do any of that. You can use a scheduler. And what's great is Pinterest has a built-in one that lets you schedule 30 days at a time. So what's working is you scheduling your minimum 30 pins, that's one a day, and doing that consistently. And then once it's manageable, increase to 2 or 3 pins a day. And that's how you're going to be able to start moving the needle. Target those keywords that your key audience is looking for. Like I always say, like, it doesn't matter what platform you're on. What are those top 10 questions that your audience has that you have the answers for? Think about, like, what are they typing into Google? What are they typing into Pinterest or even YouTube? And if you have those answers and you are posting those pins consistently, they are going to find you, right? So that's really the foundations of like a good Pinterest marketing strategy that's manageable, that's going to see your results long term. And you got to show up long term for that to happen, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the other thing that you pointed out is you want to use kind of like search terms and things like that. And I feel like some people might think, well, if I, let's say they're a fitness coach or they're a health coach or something, and they make a pin that says, how to lose body fat. Well, what if everybody's posting that? And who am I to post about that? Because that's such a competitive keyword. So any tips for should they be picking really popular,
Mhm.
search terms, or should they be going narrower, or how do they know if
Yeah.
this is a good one or not?
For sure. And something I would just let you all know is that Pinterest, unlike other platforms, has a really firm stance on body positivity. So you just want to be careful in your language word choice. And I'm not saying that if you're posting about weight loss or, losing fat, that you are veering into this, area, but you just want to make sure, however you're forming that language, it's in a positive way, right? And I'm sure all of you are doing that. I'm just letting you know because many of the spammy accounts on Pinterest do push weight loss in a very unhealthy way, in a way that Pinterest doesn't like. So in terms of choosing your keywords, we always want to target long tail keyword phrases. So don't ever feel like, oh my gosh, who am I to write about this? You're the expert. Who better than you to write about it? As I said, there are many, many spammy accounts out there that don't know jack about anything, right? So you're the one who people need to hear from, right? You have the real, what's going to get them results and keep them healthy, right? So if I say like, go for it, the platform needs people like you, right? So in terms of like, okay, are a lot of people targeting these keywords, right? That's why we want to go after the longer phrases that are 3 to 4 words typically. And this is like foundational search SEO optimization advice that anyone would give you for any platform. It still applies to Pinterest. So instead of, looking at I don't want to use weight loss, maybe like exercises, right? Or exercise. Maybe that's like the key word, right? But you want to do easy exercises for women over 40, for example. Like if that's your target audience, that's going to be more successful, meaning that there's less competition for that keyword. It's more specific. So if anybody finds you and clicks over to your site, it's going to convert better because they're actually your target audience. And the beautiful thing about Pinterest is that you're probably going to end up creating so much content over your career that you're eventually going to target every single keyword that's relevant to your audience. So I just say, just start with the core of what you offer, speak directly, to your audience, knowing what they're searching for and being the answer. So don't ever feel like, who am I to post? I challenge you, like you are the one who really needs to post and get out there because your ideal customer is scrolling, is searching, is looking for answers. And what's amazing about Pinterest is that it's a positive space. Like I mentioned that previously with the being careful about like some weight loss terminology that you use, but like they're looking for inspiration. Pinners are more likely to take action than on other platforms. Like they are creating vision boards, they're setting goals, they're making shopping lists so that they can take action. So if there's a place you need to be, it's Pinterest.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that advice. I'm glad you brought up the body positivity stuff because, not everybody might know that. And I'm sure there's a lot of spammy accounts on Pinterest. One of the other things, though, that you highlighted is how you could get creative with your keywords. So I love how you said, instead of just posting how to exercise, easy exercises for women over 40. That's so good. And so what many could probably do is use like ChatGPT or Claude AI maybe to come up with ideas or help them get more creative than just saying like how to eat healthy or things like that. But you brought in also tying it to your niche and what might they say or what kind of issues might they have. What about, once someone starts posting those pins, on a lot of other social media chat platforms, you have to start, promoting it somehow, or you have to maybe start sending more traffic to your page by doing collaborations or things like that. Is Pinterest one of those platforms where now that you've done pins, you need to find a way, you need to follow people, or like, how do they start getting this organic traffic? Is it just by search, or do they also need to do other things to get more traffic on their page?
Honestly, my experience has been you just need to keep posting consistently. You don't need to try to, force this kind of follower growth, it's not required. I believe I have over 83,000 followers right now, and I do nothing other than pin consistently, right? So it's your showing up and targeting those keywords that is going to get you found in search, and people are just going to naturally gravitate towards your account and follow you, especially if they see you as an expert and someone who can help them to achieve their own goals. Yes, there are ways you can jumpstart your account, and I think the same advice for any platform, would apply here. And you can go tell people like, hey, I'm on Pinterest, come follow me. If you have an email newsletter, send out the link to your pin, and then they'll click on your pin and then find your content. You can share that pin image in your Instagram stories with a link to the pin, right? You can tell people to come follow you. There's so many ways that you can kind of boost that profile. And it's always a good idea for that little bit of a jump start, but it's really and truly the consistency that is going to gain you followers.
I love it. Okay. And what about videos? Are there now, using little short clips on Pinterest, or do we just do photos, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it seems like I'll give you a little bit of the Pinterest drama, right? So in around, I think it was 2021, 2022, Pinterest decided to make some pretty drastic changes. They were like, okay, we want to be like TikTok. We want to be like more like Instagram. And they really rolled hard on video. They've realized that, you know what? This is actually not who we are, and they've rolled back a lot of those changes. So you don't have to do video to be successful on Pinterest. There was a recent study by Tailwind that found that 9 out of 10 top pins were actually image pins. And to me, I'm like, that's less work for me anyways. Like, I don't need to make videos to be successful. However, you can post your videos on Pinterest. You can repurpose if you're making videos for TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. You can put those MP4 files up on Pinterest. It's the same 1080 by 1920 pixels size, so it's already formatted and ready to go. You just want to keep in mind that if you have music, it's not transferable. You don't have the license or the right to post music that you don't own on another platform. So just make sure you remove that. And if you're speaking, you want to make sure you have captions, which is good for any platform because a lot of people scroll on mute. They don't want to always listen to people's voices, right? So keep that in mind. If you have it, why not post it? Why not repost it? But it's not a requirement.
Okay. I love it. What about two things. One, are hashtags a thing on Pinterest? That might be a dumb question. But then the other question is, in our photos on our pins, any do's and don'ts? Should we put the words on there? Should they just be a picture of us?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Really great questions. No dumb questions. Okay. So hashtags, just like I said, it's also wrapped up in that whole, like, who are we, right? So Pinterest did away with hashtags a few years ago, and then they brought them back. But it seems like hashtags are more functioning like keywords. So if like the hashtag was like healthy meals for moms or whatever, right? It functions as a keyword, like healthy meals for moms. So just use the keywords. Like, I would not waste my time looking for hashtags. There is a thing called topic tags on Pinterest, and they're different in the sense that they're predefined by Pinterest. Like, you can just make up a hashtag. You can't. There's a catalog of topic tags you choose from. You apply the ones that are relevant to your pin. Okay. Your second question about do's and don'ts for pin images. Okay, so you also want to keep in mind, like, what is the search intent of your audience, right? So different keywords are going to produce different results, right? So if someone is searching for, I don't know, like high fiber foods, for example, what is the intent? What are they looking for? Or high fiber snacks. Like, to me, that person is shopping. Like, they just want to maybe buy the snack, for example, right? If someone's searching ways to increase fiber, they're probably searching for a video or like a blog post that's going to break it down for them. I think like a clear example would be like if someone was searching for, like easy dinner recipes for example, and someone's searching for a meal kit, right? So the way to go about it is to actually search that search term in Pinterest, take a look at the results. What are people actually, what's the intent here? Is the intent a blog post? Is it a video? So if the intent is content, we want to have text because, you know, an image doesn't really tell someone what that blog post or podcast or YouTube video is about. That's why we want to have text on our pins. If it's a product, on the other hand, people are really into seeing lifestyle images. So for a lot of product keywords, you'll see it's typically just an image without very much text on it. So I would encourage you to actually look up the keyword on Pinterest and see what the search intent is and match the search intent. But the rule of thumb, if it's content, we need text. We need people to have context for what they're clicking on. If it's a product, and a product image in a lifestyle kind of way is typically what people are looking for because they just want to envision themselves. Like they don't need words to tell me that, like, you know, that this is like a beautiful mug, for example, right? I don't need you to tell me that. I just want to see it, right? But if you're telling me how to make the mug, you should tell me that, right? Because just a photo of a mug doesn't convey that. So that's the little rule.
Totally. Okay. And you also are somebody who, you know, I think I've seen on your Instagram stories, you're great at sharing what you're up to and all the things. And one thing you mentioned on this call and in your stories as well is that you're doing something for your gut health. I don't know if it's a protocol or a program or something like that. But I'm curious because a lot of the listeners on this show are health and wellness professionals. What was your process for finding out what you were going to do? Did you look for a coach? Did you look for a course? Did you Google it? I would just love to know, just from a buyer psychology and them listening standpoint, like how did you decide that you wanted to do something for your gut health and your process?
Yeah, so my quick backstory, for 13 years now, I have not been able to eat gluten. I also can't eat eggs. I was lactose intolerant, and now I'm just dairy intolerant in general. It's probably all the traveling that has like done something to me. And yeah, it was actually, I met someone at a conference. So, you know, like I've followed all of the typical routes. The amount of times I've been to doctors who just dismiss me, who tell me that it's all in my head, that I'm depressed. And I'm like, I'm not depressed. It's literally in my gut. And now I actually have proof that it is in my gut because I got a gut test, right? And what really pushed me was that I was at this event and there wasn't gluten-friendly food. And I was just saying like, okay, I can't really eat this. And then this girl made a comment in passing. And then to find out later that she runs a company that does gut tests. And she was like, she was giving out free consultations. I was talking to her and she's like, girl, you need to like go test your gut to like know what exactly is wrong. And yeah, maybe it took like somebody who actually once acknowledged that I'm not crazy and two was like, hey, I've been through this. I had worse symptoms than you and I can eat all the things now. And I was like, what? I didn't even know that was possible. And then she was like, here's the link, go get the kit. We can fix you, right? So it was honestly just meeting that person who, one, believed me, and two, had the expertise to help me and the proof to back it up. And yeah, just a conversation. I find that like going to events is like a great way to find like potential clients. But yeah, that's my little story. And it's a 6-month protocol to reset my gut. Month 1 was to calm down because I was having like, even though I don't eat gluten, on the test, it was saying that like my response was like off the chart, even though it's like not even in my system at all, which is crazy to me. So like I had like such bad inflammation. My whole body hurt, essentially. It was the only way to describe it. Like my joints, like even if someone hugged me, I'd be like, yeah, don't touch me. Like I don't feel good. So yeah, it's really crazy how I'm on week 7 now. And yeah, I feel so much better.
Wow, that is so interesting. And that is such great news for the listeners here who are listening and hearing like you're feeling better, you got support, somebody told you you weren't crazy, because I think that is why a lot of the wellness coaches who listen turn into doing the thing that they do, because they had a similar experience, or they feel like a lot of people are just kind of being passed on and like, oh, it's normal. It's a normal part of aging or whatever. Or so thank you for sharing that. And the other thing that is interesting about you, and then, obviously we'll get back to Pinterest free gifts and goodies and all the things, but is you love to travel. So I would love to know, as a traveling entrepreneur, one, how do you stay sane when you're like in different environments and you're working and like, you have a lot going on. So how do you juggle that? And I'll stop there. And then I want to ask you about another question.
Yeah. So after the pandemic, I was like, you know what? I can't stay in this room any longer. I'm like, the world is out there. I need to see it. Something that helped me begin traveling was just joining a travel company. Like, there are so many companies out there that organize trips for you, and it just provides you with like built-in community. Typically includes a place to stay, a place to work. Unfortunately, the company I started traveling with no longer exists, so I would do a name drop right now, but I can't. But yeah, like finding a place where you're not alone, I think really helps. A company I really love right now is called Outsite. It's essentially like a place to stay. It's between like a hostel and an Airbnb with co-working space, so you can always find people. And some tips that always help me, for one, is you just need to find a place to work. And I think that's always like the biggest stress when you go to a new city, when you're like, oh my gosh, like I just need a place where I can just sit down and like get to it. So I always encourage everyone, you go to a new city, just scope out like you got to just find your spot. And whether that's like a coffee shop or a co-working space, like, or even in somewhere inside of your Airbnb, for example, you just got to find that spot where you know that you can just sit down, the Wi-Fi is working great, and you can just get things done. To me, like that really helps. And also avoiding time zones that will make your life incredibly difficult. So like I did 7 months in Asia. It was rough. Like I'm like being 16 hours ahead is very hard on like if you have to schedule calls and things like that. So just keep in mind that maybe you want to stay in somewhere between like EST, PST. So then if so, like I encourage you just to go south. Like there's so many places in South America that are great and really nomad friendly. Places like Mexico City, amazing. Like there's so many expats there. Medellin in Colombia, like there's so many places like Antigua, Guatemala, for example. All these places have huge expat communities. So you'll never really be alone, if that makes sense. So yeah, having community, having a place where you can get things done, and maybe even being a place in your business where you don't need to like be at home in your office. I think like you just kind of need to know like what cycle you're in your business. Like right now I'm at home and the gut reset has kind of forced me to stay put because like I don't want to incorporate like outside microbes into my gut right now. I just need to like get better.
Yeah.
But like if that wasn't the case, I would definitely be out there. And I just find that you have better balance when you're not home, because when you're home, you can get into this routine where like you're just tied to your laptop, right? And it's like if it's in 100 feet of you, you're just like gravitate to like the work and you'll like burn your body down. Maybe that's just me. But when I'm out there, I'm like, I just get the thing done. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go have dinner because, eating out only costs $15 for an epic meal and a drink, right? Like, and like you're in walking distance of all these fun places and all these fun people. So highly recommend if you can do it.
I love it. That's awesome. Yes. And I'm just curious, what was your favorite place you've traveled so far?
I am obsessed with Colombia. I intend to move there. So the city Medellin is perfect. It is literally the city of eternal spring. And there's so many expats and communities where, you can find English speaking people and great restaurants, great food. Everyone is so friendly. And the weather is literally exactly the same all year round, which I am down with.
Okay, amazing. Well, this has been great advice. Actually, I love that you brought up the time zone thing. I had a call with a client in Malaysia today, and I understand. It's like always like, okay, what can we do? So where can everybody find out more about your Pinterest stuff and you and all the things?
For sure. You can just head to yourpincoach.com and you will find all of my things there. I've got a free masterclass. I've got a free cheat sheet, which Hailey's going to have a link for you in the show notes, right? Yeah, check out, like, honestly, just going to the website is the best place to find all the things and get more information about me. And I'm at Nadalie Bardo on every single platform. So yeah, I'm around.
Great. Well, thank you again for being a guest. I love watching you grow, and it's so fun collaborating with you. And
Thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.